So how would you recommend, or do you have any qualifiers to say like, oh, this is a good niche where I can sell cold emailing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get this question all the time. And my short answer is that's the beauty of cold email. You can literally just contact a bunch of people in one go and very easily disqualify things. Don't go for like what everyone is like going after, like e-commerce, SaaS. I mean, you still
Correct.
can, but you need to rephrase it into a way where you stand out. You know, if you venture into a niche where everyone is doing the same, like don't just copy and paste like a template or like you know, like that's when you do not get results. When you literally copy that someone else did. Otherwise, everyone will be rich by now.
Correct.
Another thing that we are seeing like really high reply rates with is targeting markets that are unexplored. Right now, everyone is doing cold email in English-speaking markets, and obviously there's still plenty of room to grow. You know, it's not like it's absolutely saturated, but we are seeing like way better responses when you target other markets, like let's say the Spanish-speaking world or the Arabic world, or like you know like people targeting Poland. You know, so if you target other niches or even China, you know, China's massive. You know, although in China, like they don't use email. For people that
Correct.
don't know, like in China, they use a WeChat. In China, and you offer them lead generation services to connect with companies in the West, right? With a really good offer, because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. If you're an agency,
Right.
you first want to capture clients, right? So maybe you will capture clients in China and pitch them, hey, I understand the Western culture. Think out of the box in that aspect. That would be my recommendation. Again, test new things and don't be afraid to just move on, right? Like let's say you tried that niche, you try contacting those people.
Correct.
Just go after people that have a need. So who are people with need? For example, let's say, and I've seen this myself. Okay, so let's say a VC fund or an investor, private equity, whatever it is, they usually own a portfolio of
Right.
like 20. I get emails pretty often from investors that are asking me for recommendations or advice on how, you know, improve their outbound strategies for their portfolio companies. And, you know, then I just put them in touch with someone else. And then I realized like if someone, you know, was to close a relationship with just one of these investors, they immediately captured that entire portfolio. Pitch venture capital like people and just tell them, hey, I will do lead generation for free to show you how good I am. And if you see results, you know, maybe then we can talk through all your portfolio companies, right?
I know I am 100% with you because we have a lot of customers for whom we do cold emailing still. We're not onboarding new, but we are still maintaining a pool of couple of people. In that pool of people, we have a candy shop for whom we run cold emailing. It is a surprise to a lot of people, but we created an offer where they now sell candies, branded candies to the corporates in California, and it's a new market which
Nice.
no cold email guy thought of, and it came to us. And similarly, there are a lot of things even in Dubai. People feel like, oh, it's an Arabic country, they might not be speaking English, but you can literally get around the
Yeah.
city speaking English or even Hindi for that
Yeah,
matter.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone speaks the language here, and I have seen English has kind of become a global language across the markets. So, yes, if you target the Spanish market in Spanish, definitely works out. And they are always doing that. So, yeah, even though they may not speak English, but your offer is so strong, you would be able to convert them into a client. So yeah, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And another thing I have a question is, when do you think one should stop testing? You can't just keep on experimenting with, after you have reached out to 10,000 companies, 20,000 companies, the messaging, does not work, the target does not work. So what is a good number?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say it depends on your market size. If you, and obviously that you can easily check the market size on Sales Navigator and like any database. You can obviously test like up to 5-10,000 if you're doing like a fraction of the total addressable market. If not, like obviously you need to use a smaller market, I mean sample size, right? And then you
Correct.
can like you don't need to test the entire market in order to discard it. Like you can just take a batch, like a sample, let's say a few thousand people. And it's the same with copy. You know, like if you're testing different copies, like I usually tell people, you don't need to send like 2,000 emails on one copy in order to like discard
Correct.
it. Like you can just send a few hundred emails for that variant, and then just move on and make another version just to test which one is the best performing one. So yeah, I would say like you don't need to go after the entire market. Just do like a fraction of the addressable market. Usually my rule is like 5,000 max. Like if after contacting 5,000 people in a certain niche or industry, you're not seeing results, like it's time to move on because yeah. But at the same time, also some people might be targeting the wrong person in that niche or
Correct.
industry. So that is something worth exploring as well. You know, like for example, I even done this test myself. You know, I like sending campaigns myself as well because I like to practice what I preach. I send campaigns for friends or like you know, like random people. Like I hope that after saying this, I don't get like too many DMs. But like yeah, sometimes I get people that, you know, like I find their story pretty moving, and I'll do it for free,
Makes
just
sense.
to, you know, help them a little bit with their cold outbound efforts. And they know who they are. You know, I'm not gonna give names, but and he offers English lessons, right, to companies in you know, he's in
Non-speak,
Europe. So
non-English
yeah, he
country.
like English lessons. He's like based in Europe, right? You know, I told him, let me help you. I managed to get him like 20 meetings with like companies, with like big companies. So he was pretty happy. And as part of the experiment, so I asked him, so who is your target audience? Like who? I mean, who did you ideal client? Like if we were to target companies, because he does English lessons, but on a corporate level, right? So if he gets one company, that means like a bunch of students, right?
Correct.
So good ROI there. It's not just like 101. I mean, he also does 101, but that's the market he wants to tap into to be more profitable. Sure, on like who to target, he was like, well, usually the HR people are the ones who are the most involved, but I will also expect the CEO and the founders.
Correct.
So I was a bit like, okay, let's test it out. So I split the campaign into HR managers and CEOs. And the HR managers were 5 times more likely to reply positively. So it
True.
was far, far better performing. So imagine, the reason why I mentioned this is, imagine someone is testing their niche and you know they nailed, but then they just contact the wrong person, in this case the CEO, and they don't get results, and they are like, well, this doesn't work, I'm gonna move on next. But if they just made that small switch, small adjustment, well, I'm gonna actually contact the HR managers, and they all of a sudden like boom, where you know, like some small adjustments can make a difference. So don't just discard a
Definitely.
niche entirely sometimes. Yeah.
Totally makes sense.